Now I'm going to take you through building your first tutorial application. At the moment on the screen you'll notice that we're on the App Inventor Hello Per tutorial webpage at this link. I'm going to be using this as we continue on. So we're going to go ahead and read through this. The first thing that we need to do is download 2 files for use in the application. Both of those files are located here, and we'll download each of these onto the computer. Now that we've downloaded the files, we can go ahead and get started with the actual tutorial. So we'll go to step 1 in the tutorial, and then I'm going to move to the MIT App Inventor window, which I've already opened as a new tab in my web browser. So from this point, I'm going to go and grab a button from the palette side of the App Inventor window and drag and drop it onto the emulator window. Excuse me, not the emulator window, but the viewer window, which will show up in our emulator. Now you may already have this button here from our previous video. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the image of the kitty to the button by going to the Button 1 Properties area on the right side of the App Inventor window and choosing Image and then upload a file. So we'll go ahead and choose this file. I downloaded it to the desktop, so you just need to go to where you downloaded your file to, find the file, and then click Open. And then you'll have to click OK to upload the file to the App Inventor website. Once it's uploaded, you'll be able to see the image of the kitty in the screen. Now I'm going to go to step 2 of the tutorial. Step 2 is set up so that we're going to delete the text from the button because we don't want it overlaying the picture of the kitty. So I go to Button 1 Properties again. I go to the text area and then I delete the text out of the text box to remove it from the picture of the kitty. Now I'm going to bring up the emulator so that we can see what is happening on the emulator at the same time it's happening in our MIT App Inventor screen. You'll notice that on the emulator we have a picture of a kitty, just as we do in screen 1 in the App Inventor. I'll now adjust things so that we can see both the App Inventor window and the emulator at the same time. Okay, next let's go back to the tutorial and move on to the next step, which is to add a label component to our screen so that we can have some text underneath the picture. So we'll go back to the App Inventor area. We'll click in the palette area and pull out a label component, drag and drop it into the viewer underneath the picture. We'll then go to the text area of that label and change the text to Pet the Kitty. Ultimately, it will show up in the emulator with the exact information that you have over here in your viewer window. I'm also going to change the text color and the background of the label as per the tutorial instructions. Okay, once you're done here, you should see the same thing in the emulator as you do in the viewer in App Inventor. The next thing, step 4, we're going to have to add a sound. So we're going to go back to the App Inventor window. We're going to go to the Media area and drag and drop a sound component. Now when we do this, it's going to show up in an area called non-visible components. This is because a sound is an item that's not visible to the person using the app, but it's still an important part of the application. Okay, once we have placed that in the viewer, we need to upload the sound that we're going to use. So you'll go through the same process as you did with the picture. You'll upload the sound. Now we have to go to the properties of the Sound 1 component, and in the source area choose the sound we just uploaded. In this case, the meow sound. Click OK. Okay, now we've got all of the components we need on the designer side of the application. Now we actually have to go do the programming part of the application, and that's what we're going to do next. So in the tutorial portion of our exercise, move to the area where it says Programming with the Blocks Editor. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start moving to a different part of the MIT App Inventor, as I'll show in just a moment. So if we go back to the App Inventor window, we'll go to the Blocks button on the right side of the screen. And at this point, we're going to be at the actual programming side of the application. On the left-hand side is a series of what are known as blocks. And these are going to be programming code, programming logic that we're going to use as part of the application. The first piece that we're going to be using here is logic for button 1, which is the kitty. So we need to go to that area, click on it. Now in the viewer side, you're going to see a series of components. These components here are in this area here. And we're going to drag one of these components out and place it into the viewer area. This is very similar to the designer side of things. We need certain components to work. So in this case, we're going to drag the when button 1 dot click do into the viewer area. So I'll drag that out, place it in the viewer area. Okay, so let's talk about this particular component for just a moment. When button 1 click do, what this is indicating here is when I click on button 1, which happens to be this in the emulator, do means to do something. That's the next thing that we're going to add to our program. So let me continue the video here, and then we're going to go to sound. Now under sound, this is the sound component, there are certain types of programming actions we can do. The item we want is to play the sound, which is this area here. It's called call sound 1 play. This isn't completely English in a complete English understandable way, and we understand that. It's in more of a programming standard. So you'll get used to this as time moves on. Okay, let's continue the video, and I'm going to drag and I'm going to actually drop this component inside of the button 1 click component. You'll notice it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It should snap into place. Now if you try to do this and a component will not snap into place, it means that that is incorrect programming logic and you need to choose different options. Alright, so once I've done this, I've added the programming logic necessary so that our emulator will actually, when I click on it, as I just did on the right, you should get a meow sound. And you're now done with the tutorial.